you were talking about doing The Mask, and you got a little miffed at the producers because they were like, he doesn't sound like Jim Carrey. And so the question that the question that brought up the two questions came from that for me was where do you find that line between creativity or imitation and creation? Because other than
Excellent question.
from where I'm sitting, the only character I really hear you imitate or steal from, as you put it, is
Yeah,
Doctor Scratch and Sniff
sure.
as Doctor Strangelove, the guy who
Right.
did. But
Yeah. And
uh,
I tell people as much.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you freely admit I'm stealing it.
sure.
So, but in the book you say you didn't want to be like Jim, but you knew they wanted Jim. So where's creation and your own stamp?
Great question and an excellent anecdote I'll be able to share with you in a bit.
All right.
Maybe I even mentioned the book. I don't remember, but uh, yeah, when I got that job, I was thrilled because for guys like you and me, uh, you get to improvise. The mask, by definition, the ethos of that character is puts on the mask, and he might be a pirate, or he might
Mhm.
be a cowboy, or he might be a whatever. Uh, he might be Cuban Pete, you know. Boom.
Yeah.
And Jim is fucking Jim. Um, okay, so I got the job, thrilled to death, and the first 5 episodes, maybe more. Uh, Miffed is a good word. I didn't get angry. I was getting frustrated because we all want to please people. Once you get the job, you've gotten past the I hope I get the job. Now it's oh don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up. All of that.
Mhm.
And so I knew it was a big deal because it was CBS Saturday morning. It was on the heels of The Mask.
Yeah.
So New Line was there, CBS was there, Film Roman was there. They were the animation house. They still do The Simpsons. And I would do a couple of gags, and there are parts to say, Stanley puts on the mask, Rob improvises. Great. I love that.
Yeah.
And or they would say, here's the line, we hired you because you got pretty good improv chops and you're not afraid to try stuff. Off you go. So I would do that. And then they would have, hang on, Rob. Yeah. Yeah, no. And then if you see, and you know this, if you see somebody on this side of the glass pointing and on the one hand they're this, and then they point at you and they go, and inevitably actors, because we're by nature sensitive creatures, which helps
Mhm.
us, but it's also a difficult thing because the first thing you think of is, they're shaking their head looking at me. They could be saying, oh no, I don't, I disagree. He's killing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's not what you hear. You just see.
you hear, yeah, can you make a call to Rob's agent? And okay, then they would come back and say, Rob, that was great. But in the movie, when Jim, and I said, okay, and
Mhm.
okay. Well, finally, it was Tim Curry, God bless him, who was on that show as, oh, I forgot the name,
I don't know
Step.
the villains. I know he has the head that pops off, and
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I worked with him as well on Mighty Max. He played a character called Skullmaster. And anytime you get
Mhm.
to work with Tim fucking Curry. Um, so Tim, he could see, he said, Rob, you know, you really owe it to yourself. We were taking a break. You owe it to yourself to go to the producers and very calmly say, look, I know you could probably feel a little frustration on my part. It has nothing to do with you. It's me trying to give you what you want. And I feel like maybe I'm missing the mark.
Mhm.
So can we talk about it? And he was right. So I did just that. They could not have been mice. They said, you're doing great. I said, okay, I believe you. And if you guys come to the point where you say, we love you, Rob. We're kind of figuring this out too. We're going to maybe move on to somebody else. No problem. It happens. Everybody gets replaced. I can take a punch. No problem. I just don't want to assume anything until I know I've given you everything you ask for. And for some reason, I'm not cutting it. Not a problem. I really, it's okay.
Hmm.
No, 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 no. Okay. And I said, if that's true, and I believe you, let me go. Let me play, because respectfully, I would understand you'd want Jim. He's not going to do it unless you give him 100 million bucks or 20 or even 5 million bucks.
Per episode.
It's
Yeah.
going to happen. Okay. Uh, I I believe I can do this. You guys do too. But what I'm doing, if we have one season, 13 episodes, um, that means I'm doing like 4 hours worth of Jim Carrey in the movie, which was 2 hours.
Hmm.
So there are things you're going to ask me to do that Jim never did. And we don't know what his take would be, because we're now in the fifth or sixth episode, which means we're now at 6 half hours. We're now
Hmm.
at 180 minutes of Mask. And every time you come up with a new thing for Stanley to inhabit, Jim hasn't done it.
Right.
Now he's a mummy. Smoke it. Who knows? And you know what? They could not have been nicer. They said, "You're right. We're kind of overthinking this." And I said, "Well, I am too. But I'll tell you what, give me maybe 3 or 4 sessions where you just let me rock and roll. And I will tell you as well, oh, I got something else. And let me try that too. Because I want to leave you with an embarrassment of riches. I want to make it difficult for you to choose which take to use." And I got to sing the Mask theme song, which is
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
most spectacular themes. Killer arrangement, killer song. And check this out. As a result of Tim sort of saying, just go talk to him. You're doing
Hmm.
great. They don't quite know what they want, and they're trying to justify their jobs because they don't want to fuck it up. There's a lot of money going into this, so and they could not have been nicer. And then I got a call from Judy Price after the show. They started sealing episodes, and everybody's comfortable. And wow, Rob's doing just fine. And we did another season. They had somebody else ready to sing the theme song, and then Judy Price, who was the head of CBS Children's TV at the time, called up and she said, "Wait a minute, you're a singer. You're singing all those songs in Animaniac. Can you?" And you want to sing the theme song? I said, "Well, I would love to. I didn't dare to ask because you're the boss.
Hmm.
Well, why don't you do a demo?" And they loved it. And it is probably the best performance of a theme that I've ever done, because they let me go. And I got to do Mask stuff in the context of the song. It's a 60-second great arrangement of a killer original tune. And it was only because Tim had said, just give yourself the luxury of letting him know. And if he had not suggested that, I don't know that I would have had the courage to say something that I would have been afraid might have backfired on me, as though I was being a
Yeah.
diva. And I thought, you know what? This is Tim fucking Curry. I, this isn't helping
This
him.
is yeah. This
He
is
doesn't,
Legend Darkness. This is.
he's doing
Was
this
he
to
was he
help.
Captain Hook at the time after post
Yeah,
Peter Pan and the Pirates? Yeah.
yeah. And a great guy. And, God bless him, he had a major stroke
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago, but spot on. Last year at New York Comic Con, he was there, and in the green room, and I said, "Tim, hi, it's Rob." He goes, "I know who you are, you fucking idiot." And I almost got tearful. I said, "Oh, Jesus, Tim. Give me a hug."
So so I mean, the original question, I guess, what's you would say? I guess I would say that your answer, a long-winded answer, which is great. I love it. Is
Good.
imitation would be the
Yes,
bedrock of like. So you were kind of imitating Jim, but at
absolutely.
some point you got to be like, okay, we got the foundation. Now let's
Right.
build, and that's where the creativity comes in.
Exactly. Because uh, once I took advantage of Mr. Curry's suggestion, it
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, you know what? You got a great point. We're gonna not get our panties in a bunch." And the fact is, most of the time, you probably know this or you will, that the people behind the glass, or even if you're doing live action, because that's how I started, are spending a lot of time trying to make sure it's CYA. It's making sure they have covered
Hmm.
their ass, and then nobody comes and says, "Well, John, you were the production coordinator. Why didn't you blah blah blah?"